So this will be the first one that I actually record, so we'll see how that goes.
So how do you get to the affiliates page and the login page on the KBIT site? I've never gone on it yet, so I haven't had time to
how do you log in?
Yeah.
1 second. I'm going to help
He
you.
was looking for that the other day, and he couldn't figure out where to go.
Oops. Can you see where it says call by phone?
Me?
Yep.
It was up on the top left. If he goes up and over the top browse, if you go up right underneath the, holy crap, underneath the address bar, it pops up and there's a little phone button that says audio connection, and it says connect via internet or phone.
All right, let me.
You have to take all the way up to the top bar, right underneath the address bar, and it automatically pops up. It shows 3 green dots, and on the left it says join.me KBIGChris. And it has a little video recording and a little phone. If you bring your cursor all the way up to the top.
Okay.
It should just pop up.
Yeah.
It does with mine. And then it disappears.
I just sent it over to him in a chat, so we'll see if that. Usually I just call people directly from on my phone and get to theirs, but I wanted to record this one so we had something on file so we can share it with people.
But it showed the phone number in the email too, so.
Yeah. Drew?
Yeah.
You made it.
All right, perfect.
Nicole, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so Nicole and Drew, I think you guys were in the exact same meeting, actually, last week. So we're going to do this together. So it's the first time I'm doing it with more than one affiliate, so we'll see how it goes. But just blurt out any questions that you have. What we're going to do is show you the affiliate login, get you familiar with everything in there. I'm going to show you around the affiliate knowledge base, and then I'm going to teach you how to create an auction. So by the end of today, you should be an expert on creating an auction, and you should be well on your way to starting off. So what we'll go through first is Nicole had a question on logging in. So the login is exactly the same as the bidder login. So instead of using your bidder number, you just use the ID and password that I sent you. And Drew, I don't think I sent you yours yet, did I?
No, yeah, I was just going to ask. I don't think I've got that yet.
Yep. So I think I sent it to Nicole, but Drew, I'll send that off as soon as we're done here. But you just log in with your password and new affiliate ID, and you'll see it'll welcome you back up here.
All right.
You can view every auction that's on KBID under your affiliate account. You're just not allowed to bid. So you can still see every auction on KBID, but you just can't bid on them. And like a bidder, you're primarily going to be working from your dashboard. That's where everything happens. That's where all your auctions are stored. But if you bid on KBID, you'll notice that it's quite a bit different than the bidder dashboard. The first thing you'll see here is that you have a big yellow bar that says you're in needs review status. And what that means is even if you tried, you can't post an auction to live status yet until we have a chance to take a look at it. So when we're done here, you're going to have the ability to create as many test auctions as you want. So you don't have to worry about anything going live before it's ready to. because for the first couple auctions, we're going to go through them together and just make sure everything looks good and answer any questions that you might have.
Oh, perfect.
Eventually, you'll be at a point where you can post an auction at will whenever you're ready. But just to get you familiar with everything, for the first month or so, we'll kind of do the processes together.
Okay.
The next thing you'll notice is that you'll have these 3 tabs here. The first one is the Home tab, and that is basically a quick snapshot of what you got going on. So it's going to show you how many draft auctions you have, auctions that haven't been posted yet, how many active auctions, live auctions that are taking bids, and how many have ended but have yet to be settled. So the idea there is that you can quickly come in here and take a look and see, okay, I got these 2 auctions that I need to post. This one's going to end in 2 days, and this one's already ended. I need to create a settlement for the sellers. So that's kind of the idea there. The second tab is all auctions. So this will list every auction that you've ever created. So a year from now, if you need to access an old invoice or an old settlement, you'll be able to find it here in this list. And you can search by status, start and end date, title, all those things. So you don't have to worry about any of that data going missing, because it'll always be here for you. Obviously, we don't have anything created yet, so we don't have anything in our list yet. The next tab is our Reports tab. And this just has a couple of reports that you'll need or want to have access to. The first one is search keywords. That is what bidders search for on KBID. So for the last 30 days, it's going to show you what's searched for the most. The next one is bidder signups, and these are purely informational, these first 2. But bidder signups just shows you how many new buyers or bidders are signing up for KBID each month or each day. So kind of interesting stuff. The next report is the buyer's premium by billing period. And this is going to be what you access when you receive an invoice from KBID. The BP by billing period report is going to show you exactly what you're being billed for. And to kind of take a step back and explain the whole process, so what's going to happen is we create an auction here in KBID. It's active for, how many days, 8 to 12 days. It ends. We're going to log in, download our invoices, print them off, do the removal. Then after the removal, we're going to come back in here and tell the system who paid and how they paid. So because of that, all that data goes back into the system, and that allows us to run the reports as far as what you collected in buyer's premium, who we need to turn off for any of those bidders who didn't pay. It also lets you run reports on sales tax and settlement reports and a bunch of different things like that. So that's kind of a broad overview of how it all works. But what we'll do throughout the whole process is we'll kind of take it step by step. So first, we're just going to create an auction today. The next training will be when you're ready to post the next auction, or your first auction. And then after your first auction ends, we'll get together again and kind of take it step by step, because there is quite a bit of stuff here. Moving down, we have a calendar, which just shows you your auctions in a calendar view. So it shows you the auctions that are live in a calendar setting. And then you have a sales tax report. So that you can run on any date range, and it's going to show you what you've told the system you've collected in sales tax. So that's handy. And depending how you file, could be monthly, quarterly, yearly. You can run it on any date range. The next report here is a print barcode labels, and we'll get into this when we create the first auction. But that's a way that we can upload images, and I'll show you that here in a little bit. All right, moving up here in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see there's a new auction button. That is our first step to creating a new auction. We'll do that in a second. The next button is our seller overview, and what that allows us to do is create a place to store our seller profiles. So if you have consigners that sell with you over and over again, you don't have to recreate them each time. You can just store their information up there, and then you'll be able to access it. And the next button here is the knowledge base. So what I'm going to do is open this up in a new tab. and show you around the knowledge base a little bit. Everything making sense so far?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So the knowledge base here, you'll see it's a separate website. And I'm just going to sign out real quick. The knowledge base is really our go-to spot for affiliates. It's got everything policy related. It's got all the software how-tos. It's got marketing information, sales, and development. Nicole, you were asking about the consignment agreement. That's in here as well. So I'm just going to show you around a little bit. The top section is the policies and procedures. These are things you'll operate by as far as what policies are required. And the policy overview here is what we went through in the initial meeting. So all that stuff that we talked about, or you and Becky talked about last week. And below that, it just goes into some of our other policies just a little bit more in depth. So as far as what we believe in using reserves, as far as what's appropriate, what's not, how to use them, their input on the item level when we create an item, things like that. We talk a lot about reserves just because we highly believe that they are ineffective for the most part, and you'll see a lot of that in here. There's also information on if you're going to sell firearms or real estate. There's some legal things that you need to be aware of there. So that goes into some more in-depth on those. Somewhat of a newer policy that we've implemented is on coins and precious metals. And for the most part, the gist of what this is staying away from some of this fake gold or silver-plated stuff that tends to be pretty full of fraudulent type items. So we're trying to get away from anything that could be fraudulent or fake. Some of these, like the gold flakes here, really only have like a value of less than $1, but we've seen them sell for $30. So there's quite a bit of misdirection that goes along with selling some of this stuff. But if you're selling U.S. currency, for the most part, you're going to be fine. So it's just making sure you know what the metal content is of what you're selling if you're getting into precious metals or coins. There's also a bunch of information over here on using reserves, assets that are restricted, illegal to sell, our billing procedures, and on hold status. So, a lot of stuff in here. Make sure to go ahead and take a look at it. We're going to go through like billing procedures after the first auction ends and make sure you understand that. But there's a lot of good info in there. The next section here is on software procedures. So this is the how-to of creating an auction in the whole process. We're not going to go through this page by page because I'm going to show you how to do it. But if you do have questions, say you're working later at night, this is a great spot because it's got pictures and step-by-step how to do each process in the system. So if you get caught up with something, you can always check that out. And it's kind of broken into steps. So you got the overview, creating an auction, creating lots, uploading images, post-auction reports, things like that. The next section here is marketing. This is kind of my expertise, so I'm always adding things to this. It's got our marketing options that we can help you with as far as promoting an auction. We also have a marketing rebate plan that you could be eligible for, which will actually rebate part of a marketing budget back to you. And then there are tips and things as to how you can advertise for an auction or market your company, and a bunch of good information in there as well. Moving down, sales and development. Specifically, this will be where you can find those consignment agreements. So right here, there's a link for sample consignment agreements, and you can download them right here. So we'll have one in Word version, and then there's a detailed consignment agreement as well. So that's where you can go and download them, and you can make edits to it and do anything that you need to do. Beyond that, we have the titled and registered assets section. If you're going to use KBIT as a dealer of record, that's something that will get you in touch with Amanda. She's our dedicated title person, and she'll walk you through that entire process. Not difficult, but it is kind of stringent and very process-oriented. So if you feel like that's coming up quick, that you're going to have vehicles and you're going to use KBIT as the dealer of record, let me know, and I'll get you in touch with Amanda, and she can kind of set up that first training with you. Below that is forms and examples. So there's also going to be more information on consignment agreements and forms that would be used for titled and registered assets. And then the last section here is announcements and education. So this is where I'm going to post those stat sheets that we create, any other notifications that we want to let you know about. We also have trainings that we're going to be scheduling here throughout the year, and we'll let you know about that here. So our primary mode of communication is going to be through email, but whenever we announce something or if there's a software update, we're going to note that in the knowledge base. So we'll send you an email, and most likely it's going to be linked to a section in the knowledge base. So that is that. Any questions on the knowledge base?
No, it seems pretty nice, easy.
Okay. No one's sleeping yet?
No.
No.
All right. And the nice part is you can do searches here and search for what you any questions that you might have. So I search for reserves, and well, look at that, 23 results based on reserves. That's a quick way to find what you're looking for. Throughout the training process, I'll be your main contact, so you should have my phone and email address. But after we're kind of done through the initial training, if you do have comments or questions, there's a submit a request button up here. And by filling out this form, this is probably your fastest way to get an issue taken care of, because that's going to go to everyone in our office. We have a ticketing system, so when you have questions, this will kind of direct you to where you need to go. You fill out the form, and someone will get back to you as soon as we possibly can. So that's helpful if I'm out of the office or we're short-staffed. That way, everyone knows what's going on, and we can get back to you as soon as possible. All right, that's that. You don't need to log in or anything. This is all open, and as you saw, I just accessed it from the Affiliate Knowledge Base button in the upper left-hand corner. All right. I need a sip of my coffee here. So now what we'll do is start the process for creating a new auction. And as you could guess, our first step with that is going to be to click on the New Auction button here in the upper left-hand corner. And what you'll see is that this is going to take us to a page full of basically fill in the blanks. And what this is the auction details. Now, this isn't creating lots yet or uploading images. It's just the details of the overall auction. So the sales tax rate, the dates, the address, things like that is what we're going to put in here. So we'll go through this page here quickly. And what we'll start with is the title. That's just what you're naming the auction. I'm just going to put in test auction number 1. And that is up to you, whatever you want to name it. Moving below that is an auction type. And all you're going to have here is standard auction. So you'll just leave that as standard. Below that, you're going to have the categories. So these should be pretty all-encompassing as far as the type of auction that you're doing. You can certainly have more than one, but just make sure that they do make sense. So you could have household and estate and tools and hardware. Certainly could have that in one auction. So just choose the ones that make sense for the overall auction that you're having. I'll just do tools and hardware. Below that, these two sections, passphrase and image-based URL, I'm going to want you to pretend like they're not even there. You don't need them. You don't need them at all. The first one, passphrase, actually puts a password on your auction, so no one would be able to get to it, and that's not something that you want. So leave that blank. And the next one, image-based URL, will populate for us. So these two you don't need to do anything on. Scrolling down, we have our description. And this is just the description of the auction itself. So you can put in anything that you want here, and I'll show you kind of what that looks like. You guys still there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. It was dead silent, so I thought I lost you.
I muted my phone because it's busy office over here.
Okay, no problem. So you'll see here, this is an example of a auction description. Great vintage in antique auction, some nice rare items. Basically, your first initial impression on a bidder is going to be your 5 highlighted images. But if you can't tell the whole story there, you're probably going to want to give some more information here in the auction description, and that's where that's going to reside. So back to the auction details page. Just put in, this is the description, and move on down. The next section here is notes, and what you're going to put in here is anything you want bidders to know, typically regarding your inspection or removals. So if it's come to the back loading dock or call this number to schedule an inspection, those are things you'd want to put in the notes section. Notes and terms are 2 different things. Terms are things that they have to agree to. Notes are just details that you want bidders to be aware of. The second tab here is the terms, the auction terms. And
so really quick,
yep.
Just above here is the, if you scroll, yeah, okay, okay. I just wanted to make sure that was, the notes weren't the description. Okay, never mind.
Yep, 2 separate sections. Yep.
Yeah.
These show up on the bottom of the auction page.
Oh, sure. Okay.
I'll show you that here. And for whatever reason, notes actually shows up as details on this.
Oh, okay. Sounds good.
And all this info populates for us, but this is where your notes section goes. This is what they put in.
Okay, sounds good.
The second one is the terms section. So what I'm going to do, we actually have some template terms that you have to have in there, and I'm going to copy and paste those so you don't have to worry about it. So our template basically says this auction is contracted and managed by the affiliate name. Beyond that, at the very least, what you're going to want to add is the payment types that you accept. So if that's cash, check, credit card, or whatever it might be, that's what you're going to want to put in here. And these terms actually pop up before a bidder can ever even place a bid on your auction. But if there's anything else that you need them to know about or need them to agree to, that's something that you can add in here. The rest of it is pretty generic, stating that they're bidding on an affiliate auction, not a K-bid auction. Sold as is, whereas buyer's premium, sales tax will be collected, 3-minute overtime bidding, things like that. What most affiliates you'll see that add to their terms is usually regarding a removal. So, they might give a 3-day grace period for removal, but payments due on the removal date. You can take a look around at some other affiliates' terms, kind of get an idea, and those are things that you can add. And the nice part is, if we click on save and use these as the default for future auctions, you don't have to input these every time because they'll automatically pop up for you. Moving on, you have the shipping tab, and that's just pretty self-explanatory. Be as detailed as you can. If you don't ship, make sure you note that. If you do, give as much information as you can. If there's a straight shipping and handling fee of $7, make sure to put that in there. Or if there's a certain company you want to work with, give as much information as you possibly can in there. Obviously, for smaller items, we do highly recommend shipping because it does open up your buyer base and who's able to purchase from you. There's a lot of different options out there: speedy delivery, There's also an affiliate who will pick up items and ship them for you. So if you're interested in that, his information's in the knowledge base, or I can send that over to you as well.
That's only for in the cities, though, isn't it?
He goes as far north as Fargo, far south as, I forget how far south he goes. It's a pretty wide area. I'm not sure that you guys would be in there, but you can certainly call him. And he doesn't come daily. He usually comes, once a week if you're within his range. But he's very, very familiar with the process. So. The shipping tab is another one that you can save and use as a default. So you just click that there. All right, scrolling down, we have our schedule. So you have your auction start and end date. So if I hit start now, it's not actually going to start until we hit publish, so we can still work on it in a draft status. Or you can have it start on a future date. So you can have that start whenever you want. And then you're actually choosing the exact end time as well. Be aware that there is an AM option here. So if you put in 6 a.m., your auction is going to close at 6 in the morning. I've had a couple of them close at not exactly ideal times, so just make sure you keep an eye on that. And you will have the ability here to choose between 5-minute intervals. At this point, we only have one auction closing every 5 minutes. So if it's full, it's just going to tell you, if that time slot's full, pick another one, and it'll tell you the next one available. A big question that I usually get is the most popular times, and that's pretty much from 6 to 9 p.m. Sunday through Thursday are our most popular days. Especially in the summertime, you're probably going to want to avoid Fridays and Saturdays because people are on vacation or going up to the cabin. Bidding on an auction is not always first priority on a Friday or Saturday when it's nice out. So Sunday through Thursday, 6 to 9 p.m. is kind of the hot spot. Moving down, you have your inspection period. So you can do that by appointment. And in that case, if it was by appointment only, you would want to give some information on the notes section as to how they can set up that appointment. So, call this number and we can do an appointment on this date. Things like that you can include up there. One thing to notice here is if I started my inspection date on the 17th at 10 a.m., I would close it on the 17th at 4 p.m. So this would be a one-day period. You can have more than one inspection day. All you have to do is hit Add Inspection. And then the same thing goes with your removal period. So you have a start, which is one day, and then end it on the same day. And if you need to add multiple days, you can add those here. Most people will have their removals not the day directly after the auction ends, but a day after that. So there's a day in between when the auction ends and the auction removal. And there's a couple reasons for that. It does give you a little bit of time to get things together and organized to make a nice removal. And then it also can give bidders an opportunity to give you a call if they need to ship something or just a little bit of extra time in there. But you're certainly free to have your removal the next day as well. Scrolling down, we have our closing rate, and we have the opportunity to stagger how fast and slow the items will close within an auction. There is an auto extend, so no matter what, whenever there's a bid within the last 3 minutes, the item is going to extend another 3 minutes. But what this is defaulted to right now is that the first 7 items in this auction are going to close at 1 item per minute. Any item after that is going to close at 10 items per minute. So why we have that available is for, say you have a 200 lot auction, but the first 7 lots are vehicles worth a little bit more. You probably want to have those closed at a slower rate than the tools and the smaller things in the back end. So you can have the first 7 items close at 1 item per minute, then items 8 through 200 would close at 10 items per minute. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
the auto extend time, just so that's if there's like a bidding war between 2 bidders, they could essentially go back and forth every 2 minutes for like an hour after closing, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
We don't want to prevent any bids from coming in. So, I think the longest we've seen is 2 or 3 hours.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. But that's not very typical. I mean, you'll get
Right.
10, 20 minutes, and that's what you want and then they always think that the other guy's going to leave at 2:59, but never the case. So,
Yep.
Kind of interesting. So the idea here with your closing time is you don't want it to be too short, and you don't want it to be too long. No one's going to sit around for a 6-hour auction. So take a look at how many lots you have in an auction and try to figure out something that makes sense. We kind of recommend between 15 minutes and a half an hour for the entirety of the auction. Obviously, if it's a much larger auction, it's going to go longer than that. But say that if I just had a 100-lot auction and it was all pretty much the same type of stuff, what I could do is just do 1, 1, and 5. So in essence, the entire auction is going to close at 5 lots per minute. So in about 20 minutes, the auction would be closed up without taking into consideration the auto extend.
Okay. Oh, okay, sure. So let's say you have the, for the first 5 items are the big ticket items, you want them to close every minute.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say the first item gets a bidding war on it for 20 minutes. Does the next item go, even though you're getting,
Yep,
even though you're getting bids? Okay, so
Yep,
the next items will still close. Okay.
Yeah, and really with the introduction of the dashboard and the watch list, it's not really that big of a deal because people have their 5 items that they're interested in within auction, and they can access them right there. So it's not like they're jumping back and forth between page 6 and page 1. They can watch
Right.
the items that they're interested in. All right. Move down to the location, and pretty self-explanatory. That's the auction location. If you see that the map is off a little bit, it might be because of the address that you've put in. And sometimes the difference between ST and street or Ave and avenue will make a difference. So this is a Google Map API. So sometimes just playing around with how it's put in there will actually change it a little bit. So just make sure you check that and make sure that it looks correct. And then you'll have your phone number. That is the main contact for the auction. So that'll be listed in a couple different spots for the auction. And of course, you can save the address and use it on future auctions as well, so you don't have to put it in every time. Jumping over here to the left, you'll have our sales tax rate. So the general state sales tax rate is 6.875%. And what you'll need to know is that these do go in as a decimal rather than a percentage. So I put that in as 0.06875. Some cities and counties have different rates as well. For example, where we are at, it's actually 0015, and then we have a transfer, 0.0025, and that would give us our total amount of 0.07275, or 7.275%. And if that sounds confusing to you, just go to the Minnesota Department of Revenue and look up the sales tax calculator. You put in the address for the auction location, it's going to give you the exact breakdown right there for what you need to charge.
Oh, really? So I see. Okay.
Yep, and this is very Minnesota oriented. These are all specific to Minnesota. It's going to tell you the exact breakdown. And in all reality, if my rate was 7.275, if I just put that in up here, I would get the same result. But on your sales tax report, it wouldn't break it down for you. That's the reason why we have those separate rates
Okay.
incorporated. Just makes reporting and submitting sales tax that much easier.
So when you go to the Minnesota Department of Revenue site, you just write what city you're in, and it'll break it all down for you?
Yes, it will. It will ask for the address actually.
Okay.
And I'm
Do you have
assuming
to put, go ahead.
where you guys are at, this is going to be all year. You're going to be the general state rate, 0.06875.
Yeah,
I
so
would
do you have to put
almost
the address of where they're getting picked up or your home address?
It is all based off of the auction location. So if you're on site, you'll go off of the location of the auction or where the assets are being sold.
Okay. Yeah, because there's some cities around us that have extra sales tax, but ours
Yep.
doesn't.
Okay, yep. So you want to make sure you check for each auction location. All right, moving on. Here you'll have an invoice footer, and these are things that you want to put on the bottom of your bidder invoice. So it's just going to show up on the tail end of the bidder's invoice. An interesting thing that I've seen an affiliate do is puts his phone number on there and says text your estimated arrival time. And he says about 25% of people actually do that. So it's kind of a nice thing to get people telling you when they're going to arrive, just so you're ready. But you can put in whatever you want in there. Automate invoices, you're not even going to have the option to deselect that, but you're going to want to always leave that selected. I don't think you have the option to change it. That just means invoices will be created after the auction ends. And then lastly here you have our bid increments, and these are hard-coded in, so they're pretty standard, so you don't need to worry about that. And that should be everything. So if I scroll down all the way to the bottom, you'll see there's a saved draft section. And you don't have to fill out everything on this page. We can always come back and add to it later. The only thing you need in order to save a draft is a title for the auction. So I'm going to go ahead and click that, Save Draft. Go to our dashboard, and we'll see we have our first auction ready here in the draft. It's also going to be on our all auction listing. We got our first one created, and we want to start working on it and start creating the lots. So we can click in on either one of these. And what you'll see is there are a bunch of options up here in the right-hand corner now. It's going to tell you the name of the auction, what status it's in, so it's in a draft. There's also going to be this ID here. So that 5-digit ID is unique to that auction. You'll notice it in every URL of the auction that it's going to have that ID. If you ever have a question for us, it's very helpful to include that ID so we know exactly which auction you're talking about. Oops. And you'll also notice that there's 5 buttons underneath it here, and these are all specific to the auction that we're in. The first one is the stats button. I'll show you that real quick. This won't show anything until the auction's active, but what it will show you once the auction has gone live is the bidding activity. So how many bids you're taking by the hour. Obviously, you're going to see a large spike towards the end. That's just kind of how the auctions work. How many bidders are participating, total bid price, and one of the coolest things here is the watch list stat. So you can see how many people are watching each item in your auction. So how many people have them on their dashboard. And a pretty good indication is if you have 40, 50, 100 people watching one item, you know on that last day that it's probably going to see some bidding action because so many people have shown interest in it. So that is a good page to keep an eye on throughout the auction. The next button up here in the upper right-hand corner is the preview button. And this is going to let us see the auction exactly how bidders would see it. So at this point, we don't have any lots created, so there's not a whole lot here. But once the lots are created, this is where we're going to go to kind of preview the auction and make sure it looks the way that we want it to. The next button is the edit button. And this just takes us back to the auction details page. So if you wanted to add to your notes or terms, you just go to the edit button. And next we have the lots button. So this is going to take us to the lot list, and this is where we create the items within an auction. The most important thing to realize here is the process for creating your descriptions and the process for uploading your images are two separate processes. So you'll do one first and then the other. My recommendation, at least to start, is to create your descriptions first and then upload your images second. I'm going to show you a couple different ways that you can do each one. I guess the most important thing is to find a way that works best for you. There's no right or wrong. People have different processes that they do. I'm just going to show you everything that you can do, and you figure out what works best on your end. So the first way I'm going to show you how to create a description is manually, one at a time. So if I wanted to create my first description, I would just click on this new lot button right here. And this is just going to take us to another blank page, basically fill in the blanks. So you're going to start with your lot number. Typically you would start with lot number 1, but for this training session, I'm going to start with lot 17. Moving down, you have your title. So this is the general idea of what's in your lot. So let's say I'm selling a 97 Chevy truck. Put in my title. Next, you have your starting price. You can leave that at 0. A lot of people will start at 2. Our recommendation is to start it as low as you possibly can, because you're going to get more participation early, rather than starting it higher. Obviously, the more people that get involved is better for the auction, so that's what you want. The next box here is the reserve price. So if an item does have a reserve, it does need to be input into this section before the auction goes live. So if I had a $3,000 reserve, I would have to put it in here. And you've probably seen on the site how it will say reserve has been met or reserve not met. And that's all based off of that number. So if an item has a minimum price that it needs, it does need to be input in here before it goes active. And one thing that you'll notice is once an auction goes live, you can edit an item and you can lower this at any point. So if your reserve was $3,000, bidding was at $2,500, you could come in here, edit lot number 17, and change this to 27, and hit save, and it would be lowered to that price. So next bid over $2,700 would be the winner at that point. You can also set it to the current bid price. So using that same scenario, if bidding was at $2,500 and our reserve was at $27, if I hit set to current bid, it's going to say, are you sure you want to do this? And I say yes. What it's going to do is send off an email to that bidder at $2,500 saying that the reserve has been lowered and you are now in the lead. So you can actually drop the reserve onto that last bidder. The only caveat to that is legally that bidder is not liable to purchase at that point. So it's almost like a second chance option because they were initially told that the reserve was not met when they placed their bid. So what you're hoping for at that point is if you drop it to $2,500 is that another bid comes in, people see that reserve has been met, now it's going to sell, they get a little bit more attached to it and start bidding a little bit more. But in that case where if you lower a reserve on someone and it doesn't get another bid, we cannot hold them to that bid price because we initially told them that the reserve was not met. But we see a pretty good percentage of those that actually sell, 65% or so will sell to that person because they're usually excited that the reserve was lowered. Moving down, we have our description, and this is the main meat and potatoes of a lot. So in this case, if I was doing a vehicle, VIN, make, model, miles, year, dimensions, all the important details you put in here in the description. And you do have some formatting ability here as well. Do some weird things like this if you like. You can change the size, colors, things like that. And that, everything in this section, these are the only things that are required of you to fill out to create your first description. Obviously, if you don't have a reserve, you just leave that at 0. But these are the only things that you have to have in order to create first description. But what you'll notice below here is that there are some more options. And unfortunately, within about a week, some of these things are going to change a little bit. The overall concepts won't change that much, but once that does happen, I'm certainly going to send out an email kind of explaining what those changes are. So bear with me as we go through this. Some of these things will be changing within probably a week or so. The first section here is YouTube videos. So you can upload a video to YouTube, grab the URL and paste it in here, and that way the video will be attached right to your description. Very useful. Anything that drives, moves, highly recommend using videos. It's just as fast and easy as taking a photo these days, so it doesn't cost you anything either. The more videos you have for some of those items that move and drive, the better you are.
If your camera takes video, can you upload a video from your camera, or does it have to be a YouTube video?
It does have to be YouTube in order to embed it, but if you have a smartphone, if you have an iPhone or an Android, typically there's a button that just says upload to YouTube, and if you have a Gmail account, you already have a YouTube account, so very easy to do. Scrolling down, you have a PDF URL as well, so if you wanted to attach a user manual or something to a lot, you can do that here. And you'll be able to attach up to 3 of them there. Below that, we have our keyword categories. So this is categories for the lot that we're creating right now. So if I was doing a Chevy truck, I would probably start with something a little bit more broad, like vehicle, and then I would narrow it down to Chevy and truck. So those would be 3 good categories to have on this item or this lot. And one very important thing is if I have Chevy in my categories here, and I also have it in my title, if someone up here searches for Chevy and you have those both, it's going to see that as most relevant. It's going to be towards the top of the search list. So our search is weighted off some of those keywords. So if you have them in your titles and in your categories, it's going to show up at the top of the list. Scrolling down.
Really quick for the pictures, does it have to be a PDF? I'm not sure if you went through that already. I know you said it has to be a YouTube, but for a picture, does it have to be a PDF?
Pictures are uploaded in a separate area. PDF is
okay.
just like documents.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right. Never mind.
No problem. So you don't upload images at this point on this page. Eventually, we'll probably have that ability, and that's kind of what you would assume, that you create your description and then you upload your pictures. But nope.
Yeah.
We create the description first, and then we upload the pictures later.
Okay.
Moving down, item class. At this point, you can just leave as default. This is something that we're not leveraging a whole lot right now. We will make adjustments to it down the road. And what that will look like is some templates that you can use, like a VIN lookup, things like that you'll be able to use. But at this point, you can just leave it as default. Relative seller. Now, this is one concept that will be completely changing in the next week. But basically, what the relative seller allows you to do is separate who owns what within an auction. So that means that you can have multiple sellers in one auction, and you can separate the items that each seller owns. So after an auction ends, we have a settlement process where you can create a nice little printout showing them what's sold for the bid price less your commission rate. And at this point, that relative seller is how we determine who owns what within an auction. But since that process is going to be changing so dramatically here in the next week. I'm not going to go too much further than that. We'll kind of wait and see after your first auction ends, and we'll go through the new process together. Scrolling down, you have quantity here. My recommendation is to leave quantity at 1, because if I do change this to 10, and if I have a starting bid of $2, it's actually going to change it to a times the money bid. So it would actually be 10 times 2, or $20 for the first bid on the auction. Most bidders don't understand that, so my recommendation would just be always leave this as 1. If you're selling 10 of something, you can always just put in your description, this is a lot of 10 chairs or 10 desks or whatever it might be. Start your bid price at $2, and they'll bid accordingly as far as what the lot is valued as. So I'd recommend staying away from quantity. Below that, you have an is taxable checkbox. That's always going to be defaulted on. Most items in Minnesota are taxable, but if you do have something that's non-taxable, you would just deselect that. Clothing is one thing in Minnesota that would be non-taxable. There's not a whole lot of others. The only other thing is if you were selling a vehicle, and that's where these fees and taxes would come in. If you're selling a vehicle and KBID is acting as the dealer of record, we would actually go in and add those vehicle fees in here. So this is where we would put in the transfer fees and things like that. And in that case, the lot would not be taxable at this rate, because we're going to add the sales tax down here. It's a different rate than the general sales tax rate that we put in at the beginning of the auction, and that's not something that you would submit to the state. We would actually take that and submit it to the DMV. So if that's not confusing enough, don't worry about it. Just at this point, everything for the most part is going to be taxable. As far as vehicles and all that other stuff, we'll go through that when the time comes if you use us as a dealer of record. Photo count, this is another field that you don't have to worry about. You can ignore this completely. So don't worry about that. And like I mentioned, fees and taxes, that is primarily going to be used for vehicle fees or transfer fees that we would add in there if you were using us as a dealer of record. So that is everything on the item details page. What we can do is go ahead and hit save. And we'll see on our lot list that we have our first lot created. So lot 17 is done as far as the description. If I wanted to keep going and create lot 18, I would just go to new lot and do the whole process over again. So that is the first way that you can create your descriptions. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. There's another
way that, really quick, can you copy and paste like I'm going to be doing a lot of basically the same thing, just some slight changes will happen. Like maybe just the pictures will change, or maybe just like the footage and the details will change. Can you copy and paste just to speed this process up a little bit, or?
You'll probably use the next way that I show you, which is the spreadsheet upload. So
sure.
Yeah, that's probably going to be the ideal route for you. So the next way that you can upload descriptions is filling out a template spreadsheet that we'll provide to you. So rather than creating them one at a time, we just do them in a spreadsheet. I'll show you what that looks like. And once we get done here, I'll send you a link to this Excel spreadsheet that you can download and work with. That pops up. Have you called the guy and say you're buying? Not yet. I want to find the item. Either way. There we go. All right. So this is the spreadsheet that you would use. And instead of creating them one at a time, you would just start with your lot number 1, go through and put in the item title. Relative seller at this point you can ignore because it's going to be changing, but description, item class, categories, starting price, reserve price, quantity is taxable. So all those things that we went through on the manual process, you can just put in here on a spreadsheet. And if you're familiar with spreadsheets, it's a lot easier to do some copy and pasting and things like that. So you can see if you're doing a 200, 300 lot auction, that using a spreadsheet would be much faster than creating them one at a time.
Awesome.
And this is the template that you would use. Like I said, I'll send you a link to it, but they do have to be in this order as far as columns and what's in each one. So you would go directly off of this template. All right. So I have one.
And you said you personally send out the links to the template, or can we find it on like the knowledge base or anything?
It's in the knowledge base. So once we're done here, I'll send you a link to that page.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
One thing you do lose with the spreadsheet is some of that formatting. It's just a data transfer, so you're not going to get a lot of bullet points, or you're not going to get any of that formatting. So that's one area that you would lose, but it's well worth the time saved.
Well, when let's say I do my whole spreadsheet and then I like plug it into the auction, do they all just fill in on this, what you're pointing at here, that Chevy truck? Do they all just fill in so I could go in and then retemplate each one by one?
Correct. Yep.
Yep. Okay. So
yep.
Cool.
So I'll do
that. So
if
if you have
right
to go
now.
and edit one thing, you could just, I see.
Yeah, you can mix and match these as well. I mean, you can upload the spreadsheet and then go through each one and edit it to what you like. So
perfect.
Let's go through that right now. I have one saved to my desktop, lots 1 through 16. I'm going to go ahead and hit upload import lots, and you'll see it's going to ask us to choose a file, which is our spreadsheet that we saved.
Chris?
Yep.
Just to forewarn you, my computer just kicked me off and it's restarting, so I'll have to get back in there somehow. Oh,
you're out.
Yeah, for some reason my computer just restarted. I have no idea why.
How long have you been, how much have you missed?
Oh, it just did it just now. So.
Okay.
So I'll just listen.
All right, I'll go through this a little bit slower then, and then we'll go back and revisit anything that we need to.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and find my spreadsheet that I've saved, and you do need to save it as a TXT or a tab delimited file, which is common in Excel. But I'm going to go ahead and hit open. And then on my upload button, go ahead and click that. And you'll see that it's going to say import completed, see your log for details. And down here at the bottom, you'll see an import log. And on the details section, it's going to show us that 16 lots were created. If there were any errors, it would let us know. It would show red and let us know what that error is. But at this point, we got our 16 lots uploaded. Another feature on this page is import from another auction. So if you have a lot from a previous auction that you want to import into this one, you would just put in the auction ID and then choose your lots with a comma separated in between them. So you can import lots that you've already created into a new auction, which is a nice feature. If you have a non-paying bidder, you might just want to relist those items on the next auction. Kind of a nice thing so you don't have to recreate it each time. So I'll go to the lot section now, and we'll see that our 16 lots from the spreadsheet were just imported. And what you'll notice here as well is every column on this lot list you can sort by. So if you want to sort by starting price, reserve, current bid, any of those things you can sort by. And like you were talking about, if I wanted to edit lot 6, I just go in and I can change the details now. Or if I wanted to format it with bullet points or add to it or things like that.
Great.
Be aware though, if I had already created lots 1 through 16 manually, and I imported a spreadsheet with lots 1 through 16, it would overwrite those. So just be aware that that would occur. I do not believe it would append anything to the end of it. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. So, all right. So if I started doing the just manual lots 1, 2, 3, and I made a spreadsheet that I included in the spreadsheet, I guess you can include the lot number. You're saying?
Yep. So if you already
It'll,
created
and
1
if
through
I
3,
upload, I see. Okay.
I would delete lots 1 through 3 from your spreadsheet so they don't upload.
Yep. Okay.
'Cause even if they're blank, it would upload them as blank. So it's
they'll just wipe them out. Okay.
Yep. So just make sure to remove those from the spreadsheet before you upload. Another nice option here that you'll notice is you can select one or more of these or all, and there's a batch edit option up here. So I can change starting price, reserve price, is taxable, or add or remove a keyword. So that's nice. Once I get everything created, I can go in and batch edit the starting price all to $5, and that will change.
Okay.
Any luck, Nicole?
I'm trying to get into the email, so give me the link. So.
Okay. I'll wait before I start the picture part until you're in.
Yeah, I'll 1 second. I'll be back in 30 seconds here.
Okay.
What did you say that Excel spreadsheet has to be saved as? And what document?
Tab delimited or TXT file. So it's an option in Excel. Rather than saving it as a CSV, you would save it as a tab delimited.
TXT file?
Yep, TXT.
Okay. All right, I'm clicked the button here. Yep.
I'll show you.
I got the concept of doing it all, importing it.
Mm-hmm.
What was the batch update thing that you were talking about?
Yeah, so I uploaded those 16 lots.
Yep.
So now I have the 16 I uploaded and the 17, the first one I created. I can select one or all of these.
All right, I'm back.
All right, perfect. And then there's a batch edit option here. So I can change starting price, reserve price, is taxable.
Okay, the batch edit's on top there.
Yep.
Okay.
So starting price from 5 to 10, and that'll change that for all of those.
Okay.
So kind of a nice way to edit more than one lot. And with the new release, there's going to be even more options that you can edit on the batch edit portion.
Okay.
All right. So we have our descriptions created. Now we're going to start the process for uploading our images. So I've taken my pictures. I've got them on my computer. First step, what I'm going to do is go to the Upload Images button. And it's going to ask me to add files. So go ahead and click on Add Files.
She said that there's a max size that you can have on your pictures. What was that?
It's going to resize them either way.
Does it take long?
It's going to take longer the larger your images are. So, generic pictures off your phone, or if you're not using a DSLR with huge dimensions, you're going to be fine. I don't know off the top of my head what the max is, but I can look into that and let you know.
Okay. Yeah, because we just bought a new camera, and I don't know what they're going to show up as picture sizes.
You'll notice if it takes a long time to upload, then it's probably taking them in a large format. It's probably something you can just adjust on your camera.
Okay.
So first, I'm going to start an upload with just these 5 images. I'm going to select them and hit Open. And down here, there's going to be a Start Upload button. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. You'll see in a matter of seconds that's been completed. And there's a Manage Images option here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And what you'll notice here on our Manage Images section is we have our 17 lots that we've created. But at the bottom, there's also an unassigned lot. because we just uploaded 5 random pictures. The system doesn't necessarily know where they're supposed to go. So it's going to put them into an unassigned lot. Now at this point, you'll see there's a move to button. So if I wanted to move these all to lot 17, I could go ahead and do that. You can also drag and drop the images themselves. So these all went to lot 17. I would just drag them up to where they needed to be. So that's the most basic way that you can do it. Obviously, once again, if you have 200, 300, 500 pictures, that could be a little bit tedious. So there's also another way to do this. But for this lot 17, let's say these are all for the same lot, and that's done. I'm going to go over here and hit save. And now what we'll notice is on the preview, it should show our 17 lots, but only one lot should have images associated with it, and it's lot 17. So those two have merged together.
And then how do you add the 5 thumbnails for your auction, like your auction front post?
Yeah. It's going to be underneath each lot here. There's a featured item.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep, it's probably the last step before you're done with the auction. It's selecting, and you can select any 5 lots that you want.
Okay, sure. And then does it rank them by number?
It'll go.
Okay.
It'll go sequential. So.
Yep.
All right. So back to the lots page. You can also get to that manage images section right here. And what you'll notice is your first image is always going to be, this is going to be the main image of the lot. So make sure that your best photo is put in there first. And then you're always going to want to save any changes that you make here over on the left. So that's the first way. You can upload one lot at a time if you want and manually move them to where they're supposed to go. The next way to upload images is using a barcode system. And I have some pictures that we've already taken that'll show you just kind of how this works. So same process, upload images, add files. I'm going to find the pictures that I have. What you'll see is that we've actually taken pictures of barcodes labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the process is going to be, before you take your 5, 10 pictures of lot number 1, you're going to take a picture of these barcodes that you've printed off in between each lot. So I take my picture of barcode number 1, my 5 pictures of lot 1. Ready to move on, I take a picture of barcode 2 and my 3 pictures of lot number 2. And then between each lot, there's a picture of that barcode. And what this will do is that when we upload it, it's automatically going to put these images into the correct lots for us. So it's one more step on the front end, so you're taking one more picture, but it saves you a lot of time in that it automatically assigns images to the correct lot for you. And those barcodes we have available for you, you just download them, print them off on any paper. We use this green paper just because it's easier to see. And you can reuse them for every single auction. You don't have to print them off each time.
How many codes are there? Just curious.
We have up to 2,500. So if you have a 2,500 lot auction.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we can make as many as we need to. You saw that there was that barcode generator on the reports tab. We also have some readily available in the knowledge base in a PDF that you can just download and print off. Like I said, you don't need to create new ones for each auction. You can just keep reusing them over and over and over again until they wear out. So this should be done here in a matter of seconds. So now I'm going to go to Manage Images again. And what you'll notice is that our pictures are automatically assigned to the correct lot. You'll also notice that the barcode image here is whited out. That's what we want. That means that bidders aren't going to see it. It's just kind of there as a placeholder. And there's a button here that says toggle delimiter on, which if this barcode was showing, we'd want to make sure that it's whited out so the bidders can't see it. That just denotes that it's a barcode. You'll also see that there's some other options here. There's a little microscope that if we click on it, it'll allow us to crop and make adjustments. So I go ahead and crop it if I want. You can move it clockwise or counterclockwise. There was the toggle delimiter on button, which basically says this image is a barcode. There's a move option, so I can move this to lot 2. I can also make a copy of it. I can move it and make a copy. You'll see just copied that image. And then lastly, there's a little garbage can, so I can delete the image as well. Another thing that you'll notice up here is a delete batch. So the first batch we had was 5. If I wanted to get rid of those and get rid of everything, I could just delete both batches and start from the beginning. So what we'll want to do now that we have those uploaded, and because the system's not 100% accurate all the time, is just go through and make sure that our pictures have gone to the right lot. So we'll just want to take a quick glance and make sure everything looks correct. And conveniently, we'll notice in lot number 9 that we have the images for lot 10 in here as well. So the system didn't quite read this one. It's probably a little dark, maybe a little bit blurry. So it just saw it as a regular image. So what we're going to do is, since there's already a barcode in this lot, if I click on this toggle delimiter on button, it's going to jump that image and everything behind it to a new lot. And if I put in a 10 here, when I save this page, it's going to merge these two together. So these two, the images and the description will merge together and everything will be where it's supposed to be.
Cool.
You just want to make sure that everything goes to the correct lot. We'll see here in lot 13, same thing. I can hit this button, or I could just as easily go ahead and just drag them down to where they're supposed to go. And I wouldn't want to forget either white this image out, or you could delete it completely. Just make sure that the barcode's not going to be seen by anyone else. Keep going down, and everything else looks all right. There's also a nice jump to lot option over here, which is very helpful when you have 250 lots, because it's going to be a long list. What we'll do now is just go ahead and save this page. And what you'll notice on our lot list, a refresh, is that it is going to give us a status here. So right here it says images in this auction are currently being published, 7 out of 69. So the only real thing you need to be concerned about is if I go back to the Manage Images page, it's going to give us this funky error just saying that it's still uploading images in the background. You'll also see it here. But what you wouldn't want to do is start moving things around or making edits on this page because the save button is not there. And that's because the initial save is still working in the background. So just keep that in mind. You don't want to start moving things around because you wouldn't be able to save it and you would have wasted your time. So wait until that initial save is done before you go back to the Manage Images section. So we're at 47 of 69, just about done. You'll also notice now if I go in and edit a lot, say if I want to edit lot number 1, once we've assigned pictures within this page, the pictures will be there. Just kind of a FYI that you can see images once they've been assigned to a lot. Go into edit. All right, so those should be done uploading. I'm going to go to the preview page. And we should see that our images and our descriptions are matching up together. So we'd want to just go through and make sure everything looks the way that we want it to. Like we talked about earlier, you have your featured items as well. So you select your 5 featured items. You can choose any 5. You can change these throughout the auction. You don't even have to save this page after you've selected them. So those can be chosen and changed at any point. And if everything was the way that we wanted it to be, everything looked good to us, we can go to the edit page. And at the bottom of the auction, there's going to be a publish button. And that says this auction's ready to go live. You know, at this point for you guys, it would just go into a needs review status, but you know, eventually it will go to a live status when you're ready for it to go. Or you could delete the whole thing and start from the beginning. So those are the 2 ways that you can create your descriptions and upload your pictures. Does that all make sense to everyone? Everyone on board with that?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
seems pretty easy.
Yeah, it's not too difficult. You know, I say that there's a slow way to do it and a fast way. Like I said earlier, it's just kind of up to you what makes the most sense.
Okay.
There's one more way that you can upload images, and that is by renaming them on your computer. And the naming convention would go, for lot number 1, you'd start with 1-1, 1-2, 1-3. Moving on to lot 2, 2-1, 2-2, 2-3, 2-4. And that would put them into the correct lots as well. But that's probably as much time, if not more, than using the barcode system.
Yeah, the barcode seems easier.
Yeah, it's pretty slick. And then, you know, once you get kind of used to it and knowing what will cause an error, you know, if it's blurry or bad lighting, once you get used to that process, it does make it a lot easier.
Okay, so the pictures of the barcodes are on that knowledge base thing?
Correct. Yep. And I'm going to send you both an email after this with direct links to both that spreadsheet and the barcodes. So you can download both and start playing around.
Okay.
And you can feel free to add to this auction. You can create a new auction. You can start working on your first real auction, whatever you feel comfortable with. Like I said, nothing's going to go live until we have a chance to take a look at it together. So feel free to go ahead and play away. You can't break anything.
Okay.
A few quick other things that I'll show you. Within your account page, you'll see all your information. If you do have your own logo that you want to use, you can upload that here. Otherwise, it's just going to be defaulted.
Email address from that page,
What's
because
that?
I made a new email address just for this. Is that where I can change?
Yeah, do you have that available so I can change it in other places too?
Yeah, it's
Or
just MWS dash, just a little dash, host at outlook.com.
MWS-sales@outlook.com.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So I'll update that for you. There's also a manage affiliate profile. And what this will show you is this gives you the ability to tell people more about your company. So if you have your own website, you can include that in here. You know, a little description about what you do, what types of auctions you're looking for, and ways that people can contact you, and what you're interested in. So if you want to accept seller leads coming in, you want to make sure that you click this button. And why that's important is sellers can look at we have a directory and a map that they can look for affiliates. So if you don't click on this button, you're not going to be on that list. But if you are, that gives you a chance to kind of explain what you do and why someone should sell through you or what your specialty is. So that's an option for you as well. And that is about it. I think we hit all the important points. So if you guys don't have any other questions, I will follow up with that email, and Drew will get you your login information and all that. So
Yep. That was my only question.
Okay. Perfect. So if you guys don't have anything else, feel free to get in there, play around, and let me know if you have any questions or get caught up in anything.
Cool. All right.
right.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll wait for the info.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right.
All right. We'll talk to you guys.